Have you ever wondered what games you should keep or you should lose? Find out here at Purge Reviews.
I'm going to do a quick overview of the rules of Masters of the Universe Fields of Eternia. What's going to happen is every player is going to choose 3 characters of the same faction. So I might choose He-Man, She-Ra, and Man-at-Arms, while you may choose Triclops, Evil-Lyn, and Merman. With expansions, there'll be more, but you'll always play with 3 on each side. If you have 6 players, everybody can be 1 character, or if you're just playing with 2, then everybody would play all 3. The way the game turn is going to go is you're going to have a tracker down here in the bottom left corner, and this will track the number of rounds in the game. You will alternate between day phase and then night, day and then night. In the day phase, you will get Eternium for every area on the board that you control that has an E on it. For example, if I controlled these 2 areas, that's 1 E, that's 2 E, I would get 2 Eternium at the start of the day phase. If I had some soldiers out in this location, I would control these 3 locations, so in that case, I would get 3 Eternium at the beginning. The night phases are going to work a little bit different. During the night phase, you do not gain any Eternium. Instead, you will heal 1 damage. If you have a damage on one of your characters, it would simply come off. 1 off of each character. When you get to the skull locations, that will normally trigger something for the selected scenario that you have. If you were playing the very first scenario, Fractures in Time, you would put out these quest markers on each of these locations. And then when a skull event happened, so when you got to the first one, you would read this and you would do what it says. On the next page, what you do for the second one, the third one, and the 4th one. But these skulls are always specific to the mission that you're doing. When the game starts out, our good guy heroes will always start out in Castle Grayskull, and our bad guys will always start out in the Temple of Serpos, which is Snake Mountain. Each player will take the combat cards for their faction. You will have 2 stacks. This will be your deck with your icon at the bottom, and these will be your starter cards that you will start with. You will also have cards that have this icon at the bottom. Those will be set aside, and you're hoping to add these to your deck later. The encounter deck will be shuffled and set aside. As with the scenario deck, for whatever scenario that you choose, it will be shuffled and set aside also. Each player will gain a number of victory point cards that they want to keep hidden from the other players. These will give you a little direction of the game. So this is a friendly hero tames a beast. Once you accomplish that, you will take a victory point. You will place it face up, put a victory point token on it, and then you can start doing the second one, which will be worth 2 additional victory points for a total of 3 victory points. You'll be able to accomplish 3 of these during the game. At any point you don't like the ones you have, you can spend an Eternium to discard them and draw new ones equal to the number that you discard. These are going to be the prime source of victory points in the game, also be the prime source of direction in the game. As for the spells, vehicles, and equipment, you can shuffle those decks and put them from the side. You will not need them at this time. After you have the game set up for your specific scenario with some of these quest markers that will be out, you'll be set up and ready to start playing. I'm not going to completely set up the game because I'm just showing you an overview of how to play, but you might put a quest marker here. You would definitely put one there, and maybe we would put one just right here, and then you put the additional ones out on the board. Once again, you will keep track of the rounds, either gaining Eternium or gaining health depending on if it's a night or a day phase. Both phases work exactly the same with one exception, which I'll go over in a moment. If in the nighttime you have an additional action, which says you can give up both of your actions in order to heal hit points if you feel like you need to do so, but that will be your entire turn. That can only be done in the night phase, and think of it as going to sleep. Otherwise, the actions are all the same. So when the first player goes, you will take an action with one of your characters. Then the opposing faction will go with one of their characters. And then your faction will do another one. And you'll keep returning to that good guy, bad guy, good guy, bad guy, good guy, bad guy until the round is over. On your turn, you can take 2 actions, but you cannot repeat the same action 2 times in a row. The first possible action you have is to move. Everybody has a movement phase. In this case, Teela can move 1 space. Now, the quickest way to move additional spaces would be to get vehicles during the game, and I'll explain how to get them, but just know that they have extra movement down here. So let's say she had a Wind Raider, and her movement is 1, plus 2 is 3, so Teela could move 3 spaces. That's Shira, but same thing. She can move 3 spaces and get around the board quicker, where you can see where she could only move 1, she would move here. Now, all the outposts are centered, so there's a wilds in between them, which you might want to do that to get around. If it is quicker for you, you can go through locations or go around them into the wilds. Now, if you control 2 locations, so like, let's say I'm here and here, I control Berserker Castle because He-Man is there, and I control Taylock City because these characters are here. There are 3 dots in between here. I could simply take an action and move from outpost to outpost. That is not the same action as movement, where I'm using my movement points. Instead, I'm moving from outpost to outpost. So I could do both of those in a turn. You can also fast travel. So if you're here on a tower location, you can move to any other tower locations by just fast traveling. So if you want to get across the board, that is something that you could do. That is also a different action than movement and a different action than outpost movement. Another action you can do is called Mobilize a Soldier, and this has 2 parts or 2 different actions within the same action. So I could mobilize soldiers and take up to 3 from my supply and put them in a location with my hero. Now, another possible action would be I could move them from one. So let's say I didn't do that on the next turn or something. I wanted to mobilize them again. I could move them from outpost to outpost. These soldiers never go in the wilds. They always move across these dotted lines into different locations. Now, it's important to notate there are places that people cannot go. So these places right here with these arrows, these are flying only locations, as you can see here. So you would need a character that has the flying ability, or if you have a vehicle that has the flying ability. So sometimes when you're picking out your characters, you might want to choose a character that has the flying ability or quickly get to one so you can reach those locations. They can be a little bit trickier to get to. The other thing you can do is if you're in a wilds location, which is any of these locations that just aren't part of this, you can take what's called a wild. And what you'll do is you'll take a card from the encounter deck and have encounters. There are different encounters you can have. For example, this one just says event. You come across a broken down caravan, the owner approaches you, robbers have attacked me, protect me, and I will reward you. And then you just kind of do whatever the effect says. There are also some allies that you can see. So if you are one of these factions, you can simply just pay this amount up here, and this ally will be with you, granting you these bonuses, but also adding cards to your combat. So if you ever got a card that says like a +2, remember that combat deck that you set aside? You would simply look in that for a +2 card. Ah, great, I have one right here. And you would go to your combat deck and take out any card you want. Your combat deck always has the same number of cards in it. So if I'm adding a card, guess what? I'm taking a card out, and I just upgraded a +1 into a +2. So you're going to see that on a bunch of these cards down here in the left corner. That's what they're for. Sometimes you go up against Beast, and then you just want to fight. Let me kind of show you how the fighting will work in this game. In this case, when you're doing one of these, you will look at your body, which is this middle one right here, and it says I have 6 dice. So you will take 6 dice in your color. All of the dice are the same regardless of the color, but they have color-coded them just for fun. And then what's going to happen, you're going to take these dice and you're going to roll them. Now, sometimes these guys will have combat skill. The active hero gains a -1 body when encountered in an area adjacent to water. The beast gains 2. So I got 6 for my body score, but because of his combat skill, one of my dice will come out and I will not roll it. If he's adjacent to water, he will have 2 additional body. So then what I'll do is I'll roll this. Now these are hits. These are double hits. These are blank. And if you ever roll one of these, I can re-roll this die and one of these dies that may have had a blank on it, and I could re-roll it. So let's say I'd rolled something like this. So these are double hits. That's a hit. This is a re-roll, so I have to re-roll that. And I can pick any one of the dice to re-roll. Obviously, it will be a blank one, and that will add an additional hit to it. Okay? So then we're going to look at this card a little bit closer, and you can see I have decisions to make. So he has a 2 attack, so I could take one of these 2s and just block that attack. He has a 1 shield. I could do that. And that breaks down his shield, but then I would need 4 in order to kill him. But I only have 3 left over, so maybe that's not the best use of my dice. Maybe I'd put this dice here, and that way I will break down his shield. I will have at least 4 to kill him, but he's going to hit me for 2, which means I would take 2 damage by doing that. I would take one of my 2 damage, I'd put it on him. If you look right here, he has 6 health, which means he has 4 left. Okay? The reason why I might want to kill him now, these, if you have doubles, you cannot break them up. So I couldn't say, hey, I did one extra, I'm going to put one over here. You cannot do that. Wherever you apply the dice to is what it's going to be. So in this case, I would take 2 damage, but I would defeat him gaining that combat card. And that combat card is really, really what I want. So that's how the beasts are going to work. Once again, if you have a card like this, that's an ally, I can just pay the cost and he can add me. If I don't have the money, then maybe he'll run away. If I'm not one of these factions, I would fight him the same way I just fought the beast. And I can gain a combat card in that deck if I wanted to. And then you'll have some that will just take you on adventures and do different things. If you go to a location that has a quest, that's fine. You would simply take this off, whether it's successful or not. It would come out of the game. And then you would draw a card from that specific mission deck, and you would do whatever it says. So a lot of times they'll tell you if you're this faction, you do this. If you're this faction, you do that. So there's a lot of those in the deck. Sometimes there will be beasts that you fight, and these kind of work the same way. I'm going to show you how to do this combat in a minute, but just kind of know that there are epic battles that you might have. You can, some of these will be, if you have this much Eternium, you can purchase this guy, and now he gives you, like, this guy will give you extra 2 movement. So you're riding the Dragosaur, which is kind of cool, but he also has the flying ability. Remember I told you the flying ability was important to get to these locations over the water. And he might give you a surge ability. So that surge, and I'll show you how that works in combat, he might give you extra abilities in combat. So these can be very powerful as you're going through them. And they kind of give you on adventures and may give you goodies or victory points as you're going through, but they are going to be mission specific. They work just like the encounter deck, except for they're only used in that scenario of what you're doing, so they'll be more story driven as you go through. The other thing you do, if you're in an area with somebody on your faction, you can trade items with them. That's an allowable thing, and that's a free action that you can do. You can do it at any time. If you're in a location that has merchants, vehicles, or spells, and you control that location, then what you're going to do is you're going to put 4 of those cards out on the table, and now you can purchase them. You can purchase them from anywhere. You don't have to be in that location. You would just pay the cost at the bottom, and now you have this. Now, there are restrictions on how many that you can have in the game, but you can purchase these. So if you wanted to buy Stridor, he would be 3. He would add 2 and maybe give you a little bit of power there. So he's 4, add 2, but he gains 1 body. You can equip both Battle Ram and Sly Sled. So there's a whole bunch of different things you can do. So these will not be face up until somebody controls one of these areas, and they're all over the board. And once they do, they'll be face up, and you can purchase them. So once I control this, so I had like a soldier, and I control it, Man-at-Arms can be way over here and still purchase from there on his turn, as long as you have the Eternium to pay it. Now, normally you're going to gain Eternium from the day phase at the beginning, but there are some cards that might gain you Eternium or allow you to spend it to do different things. Okay, so the big part of the game also that's really fun and a little bit confusing is going to be when you have 2 characters in the same location, and now you want to do a fight. So I'm going to take you through one of those fights just to explain to you in detail how it will work. Before the epic battles, we'll roll this dice, and this will give a bonus to that character. So if you're fighting a beast or something, it might give them extra defense, a surge, initiative, or additional battling. So that will be able to help them out, and you'll re-roll it each round. So on the map, we're going to have a battle between He-Man and Skeletor. I just pulled everything aside to try to explain this because I feel like this is the most difficult thing to explain in the game. So what's going to happen is each character is going to have a number of health, a mind score, and an initiative score. The body and the running isn't really going to matter at this point. And what's going to happen is everybody's going to choose which weapon they want to use. And that weapon that they're going to use for the battle is going to give them a different power if the surge is played this round. And it may not be played at all, and it may be. So after they choose which one they're going to have, there's going to be a token that utilizes. Sometimes they'll have a power that will be affected in the game also. Then, if there's any start of ability combats, abilities, that would happen now. And sometimes it'll be on the board here. It might be a card that they have in play or a vehicle or equipment. They could go ahead and apply it now. In this example, they do not. Then we're going to say whoever the active player is. Whoever the attacker is, we will say it's He-Man. He will draw a card, and he will place it face down. He can place it in any of the 3 rows, attack, defense, or initiative. So let's say we're going to place that in initiative. At this point, if you were playing against a beast or a boss, you would roll this die to give them bonuses. Then the other player will look at his card that he draws off the top, and he can play it wherever he wants to play it. Then this will go for He-Man again, and this time he got a Surge. So let's say that he decided he was going to do the Sword of Power at the beginning of the round, at the beginning of the combat. Gain +1 in the Surge card zone, +2 for Epic Beast, and opponent gains a -1. So this he's going to play wherever he wants. Maybe he'll place this in the attack one. He could play it in defense or attack, but he couldn't play initiative because he just played a card initiative. So you cannot play in the same area twice in a row, and that's going to give him +1 in this attack. So that's going to be, it's worth 1, so it'll be a +2. But he's going to get -1. So right now, he's going to have -1, and he will have 2 in attack. That will be placed up. And then Skeletor will play his next card. He knows there's another +1, and he knows he's going to need a lot of defense, but now he can't go there. So maybe he'll go back up. He'll go down to initiative, hoping he can get an early attack on He-Man. And then He-Man will go, look, he's got a +2. He cannot go back here. He could go back to initiative now because he didn't play it last time. But he's going to add that to the defense strategically. Ooh, he is not rolling very well. And he knows there's a lot of attacks coming, so he is going to defend. And then, okay, he gets another one. So immediately discard this card and then draw 2 more. And I can place one of them. Well, obviously, I've upgraded to a 3. So I'm going to discard this 2. And maybe do it in such a way that he won't be able to see what it is. And I will place a 3 out. I cannot play it to defense because I just played one there. So my last card, maybe I'll go strong for attack for him. He sees that, but now I can't do another defense. I just played one there. So he will go up to, maybe I'll try initiative here. Okay. Then we would play any spells that we have. So let's say Skeletor is going to play this spell. It says your opponent gains -2 initiative until the end of the combat round. So he's going to play that to try, because remember I told you he wanted to try to get that sneaky out early. If you have any equipment, if there's any friendly soldiers that are in the area, if you have any soldiers in the area, for each one you remove, you can up somebody's attribute. So I could take it and make his attack a little bit stronger, or maybe make his defense stronger, or even his initiative. So let's say he's going to add one right here that just happened to be in the area that they're fighting in, and he's going to add one right there because he really wants to do a strong attack this time. Once you're done kind of doing that, you'll take turns going back and forth, then you're past, and you're ready to see what happens next. So then you're going to flip over all of these cards and kind of add up where we're at. Now, the initiative, you're going to have a score on your card. So Skeletor's initiative eyeball is 1. So he's going to add 1 to his initiative down here. But He-Man has a score of 2. So He-Man has 2 plus 1 is 3. So his initiative is 3. He has 1, 2. But this card, the spell, plus this one up there is 3. So they're tied. But he played Slowdown, which makes his -2 down to 1. So 3-1. So Skeletor immediately wins the initiative. It means he'll battle first. But for winning the initiative, he's immediately going to do 1 damage to He-Man. So he's going to do 1 damage, unblockable, nothing he can do about it. Then you are in turn order, attacker first and defender. We will look at how much attack. So he had 3, but it's 4 for this. But his surge power gave him a +1 for 5. And the little soldier he had gave him 6. He's going to block 2, which means he will do 4 damage to Skeletor. So Skeletor will take 4 damage on that. Then he will fight back, but he didn't attack at all, so that defense was useless. Nobody's been defeated because he has taken, that's supposed to be 4 damage. So 4 damage and 7, so he still has 3 damage left. He has 7 health, he's taken 1, so he's 6, so nobody died. The active player, which is the attacker, could choose to flee. He must spend 2 Eternium. If he wanted to flee, he would have to pay that to the supply, and then he could run to an adjacent location. But he doesn't want to because he's kicking Skeletor's butt, and the defender cannot flee. If this is the first round of combat, you would discard everything that's played, and you would just do another round. Spell and everything would go away. If it's the second round, and if somebody is defeated, if you are able to take everybody's health away, then He-Man did that to Skeletor, he'd be considered the winner of the bout. If it's not, it's whoever has done the most damage. In this case, He-Man's done 4 damage, where Skeletor's only done 1 damage. The winner, if you're not defeated, would move to an adjacent location, And He-Man, in this case, when he beat Skeletor, he would get to choose the adjacent location that Skeletor goes to. If you're able to get his health down to 0, you will win. You will get a victory point for your troubles, and that will help you score at the end of the game. But there are a lot of victory point cards and other adventures you go on that will trigger not only defeating them by 0 in their hit points, but by winning the combat. You can win the combat by doing more damage. So you can trigger those, even though you don't get the hit point, the victory point for getting down to 0. There are other ways to score by just doing more damage. At that point, you take all your combat cards that have been played, you shuffle them back up into your deck, and the game would continue. This is probably the most difficult part of the game for people to understand and kind of get the flow of it. There are scenarios inside the box that are variants that allow you to roll dice for that, but this is the main way that you would do combat in the game. And that is a quick overview of how you play Masters of the Universe Fields of Eternia. Please, if you have any questions, I've played this game a lot, and I really do enjoy and like this game a lot. Please feel free to ask questions below. I will do my best to answer them.